All right, so here is part 2 of the 2011 Jetta TDI overhaul work, I guess you could say. We're replacing the front wheel bearings, shocks, some brake and suspension parts as needed. We've already put the flywheel in. If you saw in my last video, we put a replacement flywheel in this vehicle here. So I've got the transmission back in and all that's back together. That little cart there, the little table, the platform lifts up. It's like a jack. That worked perfect for this on the lift that I've got here. So that worked out great. Easy, did it myself. Didn't even need any extra help. It really just goes to show how much a tool like that helps. So the transmission is back in, new engine oil and filter. Now what we are working on is the timing belt and the water pump. So I've got my component kit right here, got a replacement belt there, and turns out that we're doing this right on time, because if you look up there and see, the old water pump was starting to leak a little bit. Not much, but just enough to leave a little bit of residue there. So I'm glad we're doing it when we are. It's perfect timing. That way we'll get all new components in here. The belt itself still looks okay. I mean, they tell you in the owner's manual every 130, and I think I've gone right about that, maybe 150. Take it all apart, you might as well replace everything. So I had to get the electric fuel pump out of the way, which is that right there, the coolant reservoir, the fuel filter assembly, and then I'm gonna support the engine and take this motor mount off so I can get it out of the way. Probably support it with that little table there. Then we can work on it at a nice, easy to service height, where I've got the vehicle jacked up a little bit here. I can get to the bottom of it easily from underneath and from the top above. This is the first time I've done a TDI timing belt, but labor time is about 3 or 4 hours, so not too bad actually, and so far that seems to be the case. There are some special tools, and you just got to make sure you follow the procedures correctly, and if you do all that right, then you'll get this timing belt job done in no time. This isn't going to be a step-by-step video because I don't know how to do these without referring to a service manual for every step, because I'm new to it, but I just want to document it along the way so you guys can see what all's involved and what it looks like. Another disclaimer here: you don't have to remove the front bumper and everything else like you've seen me do here. The reason why all this is apart is because I'm doing a lot more work. I'm replacing the AC condenser and a few other things up front here, and it just made it easier to do everything all at once with the front of this taken apart. I can easily get to the bell housing bolts here. It just made it a lot easier, and the bumper and radiators and fan removal made this much more accessible. So I am down to the point where I'm going to time the engine for the belt removal. We'll get that done. Once I get the belt off, I'll take another clip, show you what it looks like, and then we'll put the new components on. Here's the engine with the timing components removed and replaced with the new ones. So we've replaced the tensioner, the 2 idlers right here, the water pump, and then a 3rd idler down there. So actually 3 idler pulleys here, 1 tensioner and a water pump. And then we've got the crank sprocket down there, which is held in place by the locking tool. I like to mark the belt where it goes on time critical components such as a camshaft and the fuel pump and the crankshaft, obviously. So that's marked with these marks here. As you can see, I've got them marked as well. And then what I'll do is I'll just line these belts up, count the teeth with the old one and the new one, mark them in the same place. That way I know for absolutely sure that these are back in the exact same place. Now, these do have bolts that you loosen. So we can fine tune it that way. There are instructions on how to do that, and there's locking tools that you use. So we'll adjust that once we get the new belt on and get everything lined up. But here's a view of what it looks like taken apart. Again, you don't have to take the front bumper cover off and all that, but it makes it easier for me doing it at this angle, and I've got other things that I'm replacing up here. I used this little cart, this little jack cart here. Basically just supported the engine with a couple blocks there. and that's what's holding it up now that I've got the motor mount off on this side. So we're gonna go ahead and put the new belt on, get it timed properly, and put everything back together. Here's the new timing belt and components installed. I've rotated the engine in order to spin the camshaft here a full 360 degrees, make sure there's no interference. Everything is timed properly, put back together. All we have to do now is reinstall the rest of the remaining components. We've got the timing covers here, the harmonic balancer, axle shafts. I've got the new shock absorbers and wheel bearings installed on the spindles here, so these are ready to go on. I have a new AC condenser. It's somewhere over here. I believe it's in that box. Yep, there it is in the box over there. That'll be installed when all this stuff in the front goes back together. And maybe, just maybe, we'll have it running the same day. If not, we'll have it running tomorrow, hopefully. So I'm going to reinstall all the rest of this stuff, have some fun with it. This is easily going to eat up the rest of my day. One other thing I almost forgot to replace was the thermostat, and that's right here. And wow, is this thing ever buried in here. I'm glad I'm doing it now while I've got it all apart. The oil cooler, which is sitting over here in the drain, had to come off. So that's sitting in there, just catching any residue that comes out. I got a new thermostat on there, which comes with a new seal. And the reason you have to take the oil cooler pipe off is because you have to get that bolt off to free that plastic pipe. That is not a flexible hose, that is a plastic pipe. And then there's another bracket here that has to come off. And yeah, I've heard these thermostats are not fun, and I see why people just let them go if they stick open. But anyway, I had mine sticking open partially. Heater wouldn't warm up very well in the winter time, but hopefully this will fix that problem. Anyway, I almost forgot to do it because I was putting everything back together here, getting ready to put this back on, and then I remembered, oh, that's right, I got a thermostat to put on because I was cleaning the radiator out. The radiator was a little bit clogged with debris, and then I remembered I got a thermostat to do, so luckily I remembered that. I'm still waiting on a few parts, being the sway bar links, so I haven't put all the lug nuts on, I just have the locking ones over there. But I put 4 on, just enough to get it on the ground. I filled up the fuel filter canister there with diesel, spilled a little bit as usual. I would rather overfill it than there be some air pockets in there. So that is good to go. Everything else is hooked up. The only things I don't have back on are just the engine cover, the splash shield underneath so I can look for leaks, and these 2 locking lug studs, but we're not going to worry about those for right now. Now's the time when I found out if I did anything wrong. Hopefully I've done everything right. We got a new flywheel or dual mass flywheel, new timing belt and components, new thermostat, coolant, wheel bearings, struts, and a few other little things here and there, and new sway bar links on the way. But we are ready to start it up. There will be a bunch of warning lights initially. Volkswagens like to do that, so just keep that in mind. They'll go away when you drive it. My battery should be good. I didn't have it on the charger, but I don't think I really needed to. All right, let's do this. Might have a little bit of air in there. Let's try her again. Hey, how about that? No more rattling noise. I think she sounds pretty good. Sweet. I'm going to keep an eye on the coolant level here and top off as needed. We'll look for leaks, in particular around the engine oil cooler here, because when I took the cooler loose, I didn't have a replacement gasket, but being a steel gasket, I just reused it. You can usually reuse those gaskets and you'll be okay. She sounds good. I don't see anything dripping other than a little bit of fuel residue over there from when I put that on. All right. I can already tell a difference in the vibration. There's not as much engine vibration from that flywheel rattling around, so that's nice. Oh, I do have to hook up my steering still. I don't have my steering hooked up yet, so I'm gonna have to do that. But there we go. I'm gonna call this all done. Ready to go? Well, she sounds great. Ready for another 150,000 miles. Well, for all of you who were wanting to see this, I hope you enjoyed the videos. Again, not really step by step because this is brand new to me. I've never done any of these before, timing belts or dual mass flywheels, but it looks like we've done it successfully. And I'm hoping to see 400,000 miles on the odometer of this little car before I have to do anything major again. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and I'll see you next time.